Hey, what's up everybody? It's Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and today we are taking a first look at Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game 2, right here on SYS. Want to give a big thank you to everybody at the crew at Milestone, Italy for inviting us out to do a little bit of gameplay action. What you're seeing on the screen right here is actually some pre-recorded gameplay that they provided for us, and then you'll see in just a moment some actual gameplay that I recorded and voiced over, but I wanted to hit on a couple key points about the upcoming game that you'll see out in just a few weeks. I was able to talk to some developers that came all the way out from Italy and were gracious enough to speak with us, so big shout out to Federico and Francesco for both taking their time, talking with us, getting more answers about the game. And some of the things that I kind of went over with them off camera and learned more about the game with them was the subtle, intricate graphic improvements that they're trying to hit on with the game, a couple things that they wanted to get into and see what they can improve with to make it look better, but also trying to loosen up the rider stiffness. So if you remember from the first Monster Energy Supercross, riders were, for lack of a better word, not moving around on the bike that much and seemed rather stiff. He talked in detail, the developers, about how they went about that process of loosening up the riders so the effects of the game look a little bit more smoother. Obviously, if you ride a dirt bike in real life, you move around a lot, so they wanted to try to replicate that a little bit better, and you'll see that, I think, in some of the gameplay. There's so many customization options. I can't get into like everything that I saw, but if you go into career mode, there's a lot more than just picking your gear and your helmet and all that business. The bikes have way more customization than the first one, at least from what I saw. There's so many different things about that are incredible. But beyond that, like personally giving your rider like a unique look with different apparel beyond just your rider and the gear and the bike and all that stuff, you actually have like street clothes / apparel that you kind of have to give the rider. So when you do social media appearances or press appearances in the game, as you've heard from the career mode aspect of it, that stuff will appear on you. So that stuff was kind of cool. A lot of questions about the track editor, of course. They have told us that there will be like sand features. The ability to go up into the stands will also be available in the new game. And obviously, they said that there's about 3,000 different variations of the track editor in-game with the different objects, is what they told us. So I didn't get a chance to see the track editor myself. However, it does seem very promising that we're going to have a lot of new aspects in the track editor. Talked about the ground physics. The Triple Crown format is also a question that we had asked on our Instagram a lot. Yes, the Triple Crown is in-game. It is not only part of the career mode, but you can select it as a single event race as well. So if you want to change up the format of any race, it looks like you can do that with the Triple Crown format. So that's cool. In terms of air physics, the whips and scrubs still pretty kind of scripted, for lack of a better word. You can kind of play with them a little bit, like you can throw them a little bit harder and kind of bring them back smoother now. If you remember in Monster Energy Supercross 1, it was a lot of like you scrubbed, you brought it back, and then you just kind of straight air the rest of the way down. They tried to kind of, at least in my opinion, make that whole sequence feel a little bit more fluid, and you'll see that in the gameplay I did coming up, where when you flick it out, it really takes some time to bring it back, and if you don't get it out far enough, it still actually does kind of take a while to correct it, so it's not just like flick back and then float through the rest of the air. Again, I think you'll see that in the gameplay. And then final detail I wanted to hit on, no, Ken Roczen is not in the game. I went through the players list that was available to us, and Roczen not there, so obviously I think it's a similar situation to what we had with no Tomac the previous year. Tomac at the Monster Energy Cup told us at Start Your Systems, he didn't want to divulge into reasons why he wasn't in the game before. I'm sure the same thing happened with Roczen, so I mean, it's not all the riders, but I think that you guys will be very satisfied with all the riders. So again, huge shout out, thank you to Milestone for inviting us out. It was a great time, and check out this gameplay that I did so you guys can see a little bit more about the game. Hey, what's up everybody? Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and welcome to Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game 2, a little first look video here. And I want to give a big shout out to everyone at Milestone Games Italy for allowing us to get a little gameplay here. They invited us out to a little cool event here at Anaheim 2, and they've been very, very accommodating, so big shout out to them, and want to thank them while we play this a little bit. So yeah, jumping in here, we're playing a little bit of Glendale from last year right now, just to kind of show you off the game a little bit and see maybe what you guys can see from the gameplay and what you like and don't like. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things I do and don't like. One thing that is already sticking out hugely, as you can see, is this new flow feature that they have, these little like blue arrows that you can see that are coming off of the jumps and, you know, through the rhythm sections. It's basically what it is. It's going to tell you the more or less optimal line to take through a rhythm lane, or what is maybe going to be like the smoothest line to take. Obviously, it doesn't always work out exactly how you want it, but it's kind of how Supercross works, I suppose, right? Oh, we got riders down. And then another thing that is a marked improvement, at least from my standpoint, is the whoop sections, as you just saw me go through a set right there. Just really a good job of using some of the things that we learned from the first game. I feel like these guys did of building whoops a little bit bigger, so you have to hit them a little bit more like you do in real life and really skim across them. Because the first game, as you remember, the whoops are always a little bit small, and that was a bit of a struggle to deal with. Ooh, going a little long. But the flow feature is really cool. Another really like noticeable improvement, at least that I can feel, is the actual like weight of the rider and everything is. It's heavier, but it's in a good way. So like when you're into corners and trying to jump things a little bit smoother, you can feel the weight of the bike actually like sitting into corners and you know, carving out those lines with the terrain deformation and things like that. So like that's definitely a really positive improvement, is the weight aspect. Of course, you guys are going to ask about the whip features and the air physics and things like that. And while it is still a preview build, I mean, we're getting pretty close to release date, so I think it's pretty close to what it's going to be, and it really doesn't feel all that bad. It's obviously maybe not as free as people would like it to be, but as I always say in these types of videos, is that, like, you know, they're trying to make an authentic experience for Supercross fans, and while us motocross racers and riders know that, you know, throwing a big whip is really cool and stuff like that, you really never see that in Supercross. So it's an area that I'm kind of glad that they don't maybe put a ton of attention into when it comes to like throwing big whips. I don't really think it's necessary, but you can still throw some like kind of unique scrubs, and you still have to work on actually bringing the bike back. It's not like it just automatically happens. So, you know, things like that are definitely things that feel good. Like that kind of a whip right there, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't feel clunky. It feels smooth, and throwing it out and bringing it back and things like that. So it's a small improvement, I feel like, but it's a good improvement. They definitely, you know, worked on fixing that up. Graphically, this game is still very impressive. There's plenty of things to point to as maybe one of the best graphic motocross games that we have on the market right now, at least in my humble opinion. Looks fantastic. I really do feel that this is a great improvement to the game from the first one. I'm going to go first person here for a little bit of action. Some of you guys like playing the game in first person, and it's not my forte, but definitely can feel the experience a little bit more up close if you play in first person. You can also feel those tough blocks a little bit up close when you play in first person. There's another point about the tough blocks too, is that you know, they got thrown around quite a bit in Monster Energy Supercross 1. Like, you could feel as soon as you hit a tough block, it was just going to get sent across the track and usually hit somebody else on the other lane or things like that. In this game, they're a lot sturdier, so they don't move as much, but they'll also kind of disappear if they're knocked out into the middle of the track a lot quicker. And once everybody goes through the rhythm section, they'll get replaced back to where they're supposed to be. So definitely worked on some, you know, tough block improvements. Customization wise, there's so many different things in this game. I went through and took a little look at it before I started this video, but they just have tons of things that you can do in this game with customization. We'll talk to them about the track editor as well, because I know you guys will have questions about that. But just a little first look gameplay here. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'm gonna try to do a little celebration for you guys on the way out. Oh, let's hit the dab. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.